out his potential, what he can do, especially catching the football. Um, wouldn't you have to believe you know? I mean, you've watched him play. He'll have an
Hmm.
opportunity to rack up some serious receptions and passing yards with Leach.
Big time. In fact, if you go back to 2 years ago, the team that Mike Leach had that won the Alamo Bowl, I think they were an 11-win team. They were running back by the name of James Williams, if I recall. And he was their running back, their sole running back. And I want to say he was their second leading receiver on the team, if not their leading receiver. So the back is going to be involved, whether it is swing routes, flat routes. There are going to be opportunities for Kylan Hill to showcase his ball skills and his skill set in the passing game, because I could make an argument that in the air raid, the running back might have a more significant role in that than anywhere else.
So it would not surprise you if KJ Costello and Garrett Schrader took this thing deep into August with Leach.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. And I think, Mike Leach likes to do that. He did that last year with Anthony Gordon, with a fifth-year senior that nobody thought was going to be the guy, and takes it almost into the final week of fall camp and then names him the starter, but was very quiet about the competition up until that point. I think Mike Leach is one of those guys that wants to see a player earn the job, win the job away from somebody else. And that's going to be the goal of all those quarterbacks.
Okay, so when we don't have a Tua coming back, and I guess Burrow, we knew about him. We had no idea he was going to have this magical year. You got Jamie Newman at well, you take me through it, Tom. I mean, we don't have that marquee name other than a transfer into Georgia, a transfer into MSU. And, I mean, I guess there may be some excitement about Mond and some other guys. I mean, where do you start as far as guys that have either transferred in or guys that are returning? And I think Nix has been overhyped, but we'll see if he can catch up to the hype. Where do you start as far as SEC QBs going into 2020?
Jamie Newman. I think it starts there and you work your way down. I think he is so good, Bo. He is a polished, accurate, dynamic athlete that can throw and run. He's 6'4", 230. He's got all of the attributes that you want. I think he's an NFL player. And what's going to be interesting is if Kirby finally, flips the switch and decides to open the offense up a little bit, take advantage of some of these dynamic traits that he had with Justin Fields, but they just chose to not go down that path. Well, now they better go down that path, because this guy is really, really dynamic, and I think he's going to be a fun guy to watch. And to be honest with you, had he not transferred in there, I don't think Georgia's overly excited about their current crop of quarterbacks. So that was a huge pickup for Kirby Smart in Georgia this past offseason. I think with Bo Nix, we fail to consider that the guy is a true freshman, and with the most difficult schedule in college football. In fact, I don't even think it was close. For them to go 9-3 with a true freshman with that schedule, I think we gotta make sure that we take some perspective in that. So he's got to become more accurate. He's got to become more consistent. They're going to need him to play bigger in big games, because he's no longer going to be a true freshman. You've got to take that next step. I think the guy that you really got to pay close attention to is going to be Kyle Trask. Threw for almost 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions. Now he's going to enter into the season, and he's going to be the full-time starter, not looking over his back, not wondering what's going on with Felipe Franks. He's going to be the sole leader of the team. From there, I think obviously Kellen Mond is a guy that's so gifted and so experienced, but the SEC West is a monster right now, and it's going to be difficult for A&M to get over, some of those hurdles. And then this next guy I'm going to bring up, you might sit there and scratch your head and say, what in the world? But over the course of the last 6 weeks of the regular season in the bowl game, Jarrett Guarantano played his tail off. He played really well, and that thing could have gone the way of Arkansas after the first 4 weeks of the season, losing to BYU and Georgia State at home.
True.
Looked like the wheels were coming off, and the next thing you know, he starts playing really, really good football. And then I'm going to give you a sleeper. If the guy works out, it may end up changing their season this coming year, and that's Joey Gatewood at Kentucky. That was a huge transfer pickup. If for some reason they can get him eligible, he can play. I don't know if he's gotten a waiver or not. If he did, that's going to be a huge, huge pickup for Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay. So there's discussion that maybe if Gus would have gone with Gatewood, they would have been even better and given Nix a little bit more time to.
Well, they would have been different.
Yeah.
They probably would have given him a little bit more time to get acclimated, develop, maybe not be thrown to the wolves right away. But again, that schedule, 9-3, I think that's kind of what you should expect from what Auburn did last year.
No, you're right. I mean, they had some big moments. I want to go back to Kyle Trask. So, am I off that his ceiling is really low, or you feel like there's more there, and that Mullen is the type of a handful of guys in the country that can maybe make him even better?
Well, I think if anything, we've talked about this on countless occasions. Dan Mullen knows what he's doing with that position, and he's been able to do it with guys that maybe aren't supremely talented, don't have maybe all of the attributes physically that you'd say that you'd like to have, but he does a great job of working around the quarterback, accentuating the strengths, masking the weaknesses. Do I think he's probably going to be a better decision-making version of what he was last year? Yes. Do I see a huge high ceiling to become an entirely different player? I don't know if that's where he's at. I think physically he's a bit maxed out, but he can get better in terms of knowledge and getting the ball out earlier because he's more comfortable with what he's seeing. So, yeah, I think there's opportunities for him to continue to blossom.
Tom Luginbill on the Coors Light guest line. Are you – all right, with the Neumann transfer to Georgia, do you think Florida still has a shot to win the East, or did you take that off the table with that transfer?
No, I absolutely believe that they still have an opportunity because I think they've closed the gap talent-wise. And, they match up with Georgia the best because they're going to have some defensive front people, okay? You know that Florida's going to be able to run the ball. They're going to have some tricks up their sleeves in their passing game. Their weapons around the quarterback are probably going to be as good as they've had since Dan Mullen arrived on campus. So I do believe that here's what I believe could help them. Is I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia maybe loses to a team that they shouldn't, which helps Florida in regards to having a half a game interest, if you will, to make the leap. So I don't think that Georgia is just the cream of the crop and head and shoulders above everybody else in the East. I don't see that right now. I think Florida and Georgia are far more comparable than people are giving them credit for.
Are you buying that the West will be in a little bit relative to who they are, especially the big three, that they're in a little bit of a rebuild?
In the SEC West?
Yes.
Well, I think because of some of the high-profile players that you're going to be missing, particularly on defense, the defensive lineman at Auburn, the Grant Delpit at LSU, there's going to be some guys missing, Tua on offense, Joe Burrow on offense, but there's also a lot of core nucleus guys that are coming back. I mean, you look at the players that chose to come back at Alabama, particularly on defense, particularly in the offensive line, and some of the wideouts that they still have back. That's going to be a really good football team. It will be interesting, in my opinion, to see what LSU does in the offensive line. They're going to lose 4 out of their 5 starters. They're losing their tailback. They're going to have a new quarterback. I know they're going to have great skill on the perimeter returning, and they'll have enough on defense to be good. But can they manufacture that same magic? I think they were having one of those, stars align, once every 20-year type seasons where it's just magical, and that's hard to duplicate. So are there holes and pieces throughout the West? Yes, but I still think there's enough core foundation with not only the big three, but I like Mississippi State's roster. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens with Lane Kiffin and John Rice Plumlee and how they work that offense. And I think that kid is really, really good. I think he's one of the more underrated, unheralded guys that we probably won't be talking about enough going into the fall.
Yeah, a lot of people around here seem to believe that it's going to be Matt Corral. I think it's going to be I'm buying Plumlee stock Because looking at what Kiffin did with three different quarterbacks, Blake Sims, Jake Coker, and Jalen Hurts, tells me that Lane can work just fine with the guy with Plumlee's skill set.
Oh, there's no doubt. And listen, you're right. Lane adapts. He builds things around the skill set of his quarterback. They've shown the ability to change their philosophical identity if they need to, based off of what they have personnel-wise. So I just think that kid's really exciting. I think they've got two quarterbacks that they could battle and probably feel good that they could win with.
Mm-hmm.
But what John Rice Plumlee, I think John Rice Plumlee is much better as a passer than people think.
I agree.
He just wasn't showcased. He was not showcased in that manner. And I get it because he's such a dynamic runner. But let me tell you something, man. You start moving the pocket, you start doing heavy play action, you get that guy on the perimeter, he's going to make some pretty special plays, not just with his feet, but with his arm, too.
See, and once fans are wired to believe one thing, that it's tough for us to shake as guys in sports. And so people just labeled Plumlee early as a guy who wasn't accurate or can't throw. And I just think it's simply not the case, Tom. So,
I totally agree. And it's easy to do that with a guy that's undersized and a really good runner. You automatically want to dismiss the ability to make the throws.
right.
And I think that's an inaccurate assessment of his skills.
Golly, I'm gonna hit big. I've been buying Plumlee stock for a long time. This is going to be beautiful. Tom Luginbill, National College Football Analyst, ESPN, on the Coors Light guest line. Real quick, Alabama. Who emerged? Is it Mac Jones or does somebody else emerge there as the QB?
Well, listen, the one thing you know with Nick Saban is nobody's going to be handed anything, right? And Mac Jones, outside of the Auburn contest, played pretty good football in his role. I think he certainly showed in the bowl game that he was very, very efficient and that he'll have the leg up. Now, Alabama fans are going to say, well, we want Bryce Young. Well, let's make sure Bryce Young, once he arrives on campus, is the better option and that he earns the job. Obviously, he's dynamic. He's explosive, got a little kind of Kyler Murray-esque type of style of play on the smaller side, and certainly has a skill set that could contribute as a freshman, but it's still a steep learning curve. And he's going to have to beat out a guy that's played football and that they know is a reliable entity under center when you have really good players around.
Okay, I just received a text from a listener. Who does KJ Costello remind you of?
Who does KJ Costello remind me of? Oh, boy, that's a good one. Let's see. KJ Costello, to be honest with you, is an awful lot like Greg McElroy, but maybe a little bit of a better athlete. Really accurate, strong arm, smart, can anticipate, can make the throws you need him to make.
Okay. XFL. You were in it 20 years ago. You're now in it today. People are excited about it. What has it been like to ride this wave the last few weeks, and what's your one big takeaway on where y'all are headed, Tom?
Well, it's been so much fun. If you've seen it, if you've watched it, if you've listened to it, it's unprecedented access. We're talking to players. We're talking to coaches. We're in game. We're bringing you the sights and the sounds, and there's no gimmicks. It's football. It's all football. And to this point, it's been pretty good football. There's a couple teams having some issues at quarterback. There's 4 teams right now that got really good quarterback play, and they're at the top of the standings right now. I think the thing that I've come away with is that they did a really nice job with the rules tweaks. Not reinventing the game, but still creating excitement in the kicking game while making the play safer, especially in the kickoff and kickoff return game. I love the point after touchdown decisions where you can go for 1, 2, or 3 from the 2-yard line, 5-yard line, or 10-yard line. They've embraced the gambling side of it, and fans have really dove in on that side. And we're just going to continue to push for access. And there's some uncomfortable territory. I like to say this. Coaches, players, and broadcasters in this league need to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Because let's just say it's not easy to go up and talk to a quarterback after he's just on a pick six and ask him what he saw.
Right.
It's not easy to go up in between series or in between plays and talk to the play caller who's getting gashed right now and what's their response going to be. You know, there's danger in that, and that's kind of part of what makes it exciting.
The awkward interviews are great. Luke's. Where are you this week?
I'm actually at Tampa. We've got Houston, which right now is the best team in the league. Houston and DC, the best team in the league, and both have the best quarterbacks right now. And so Tampa and Houston, Tampa's really reeling, having some quarterback issues under Mark Trestman. And so they're going to be playing. Tampa hasn't played at home yet, so this is their home opener. Houston has played 2 games at home, so this is their first road game.
And Jordan Ta'amu, some Ole Miss in the XFL, my man.
Let me tell you, that guy might have the highest ceiling of all of the younger quarterbacks that are in the league. Him and T.J. Walker at Houston. Jordan Ta'amu has got a chance to really blossom and be a really, really good player.
We'll leave it there. Cigars, bourbon, and steak soon, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Always look forward to it.
See you, dude.
See ya.
Tom Luginbill, ESPN, XFL, on the Coors Light guest line. How about that? I'm getting rich off JRP stock. Everybody jealous? Who never ever? John Rice Plumlee is going to be the guy. I'm going to just, Blake, do you realize what it's going to be like to be around me Labor Day through Thanksgiving?
The same as it is always?
Well, pretty much. But, hey, who knew the Pirate was coming to start?
I was about to say, you got Mike Leach.
Okay.
We'll see. You can't call the Plumlee one yet.
No.
Jury's still out.
What I'm telling you is I'm emptying
all the bank accounts.
Yeah. I'm emptying everything.
You've sold everything on Corral. You are 100,000% in on John Rice Plumlee.
I'm moving everything to the center of the table.
I'm
pushing all the assets, everything to the center of the table.
I feel you.
On John Rice Plumlee as the man at Ole Miss.
Do you foresee?
And could be one of the best ever. He's going to be different. He's not going to be like Eli he does have a little Archie in him. Way back before we talked about dual threat and mobile quarterbacks and all that kind of fun stuff. Obviously, Chad Kelly was very athletic. Bo Wallace didn't get the credit he deserved, considering how athletic he was. He's light years better than Shea Patterson. Trying to go through. Obviously, Jevin Sneed had some good moments. I'm going through.
Well, make the easy comparison. Nick Fitzgerald. Do you see John Rice Plumlee having a more successful career than Nick Fitzgerald? Which, for all the detractors publicly, whatever they might say, he did, end his career as the SEC's leading quarterback rusher and all that.
I don't care how Nick did it. He had a great career.
Yeah. So, do you see John Rice Plumlee having a better career than Nick Fitzgerald?
Plumlee is going to. Well, they're still different players, even though they're phenomenal runners on the ground and super athletic and freaky and all that. John Rice Plumlee is going to be a much, 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 much better quarterback throwing the football than Nick Fitzgerald.
There you go.
I've bought all the stock y'all can't have anymore. And don't anybody try to jump on the bandwagon right now. John Rice Plumlee, starting quarterback for Ole Miss. And it's probably going to shatter some records, but before it's all said and done. Don't get me wrong, KJ Costello's going to have / Garrett Schrader, but I'm going Costello. We're going to have a lot of fun this fall. Big-time quarterbacks and big-time offensive coaches. I just got excited. Wow, I'm about to make money. Live in the Bank Plus studio, hour number 2 coming up.